Hi everyone, and welcome to the Book Refuge, and welcome to a video that I really hope you're going to like. I love doing recommendation videos, especially for romance, because that's what I feel like a lot of you come to me for now these days. And I was having this discussion with one of my friends who was asking me about, what level of smut was maybe in a book and what I deem like appropriate to maybe be reading at work or things like that. And it's a good question to ask. I mean, I read on my breaks at work, and I usually will bring like a fantasy book to work and not one of my romances, because without fail, someone asks me what I'm reading, which, by the way, I hate when someone asks, when I'm actively reading it. When someone asks you that, isn't that just a pet peeve? When it's like, I am reading, I have a half hour before I have to get back to my pretty stressful job. Can you just leave me in peace? And if you want to talk about books, because I love to talk about books, that is my life, can you, ask when I'm not actively have my nose in the book? I mean, the gall of some people, everyone. Come on. So what I have done is I was inspired by a video that my good friend Murphy made, where her and Daniel Green did this beginning to advanced fantasy recommendations, and I decided I would do that with romance. So I want to do a beginner to advanced romance, and by that we mean sugary sweet to not safe for work. So I have 5 categories for this. I have sugary sweet, safe for work, blushes, don't tell your mom, and not safe for work. So those are the 5 categories that I have. A lot of these books I have recommended at different points, but I just want to kind of be more clear about where I think they fit in the spectrum. So without further ado, let's dive in. For the sugary sweet, I have 2 YA recommendations. One is contemporary and one is historical. That's just how it worked out. Most of the adult ones that I have, I don't really like them to be boring if they're an adult one. So I have, first is the historical, and this is In Another Time by Caroline Leach. This book, see if my live focus will pull it in. This book is about a girl named Maisie, who she's working with the Women's Timber Corps in Scotland. I believe they're in Scotland. Sorry, I should have known. In the Highlands. Yep, they're in Scotland. And during World War II, and she is helping them do that. And there are some men there who were either like not fit for duty for different things who help as well. And she falls for this one man named John. But John has some secrets, and he isn't as open for romance as she is. And they run into some things. So there's a lot of angst in this, as well as the danger of war and some things that they're going through. But it's really sweet and cute. This next one is called Saint Anything, and it's a Sarah Dessen. I love all Sarah Dessens. I have loved her since I was in 8th grade. And this one specifically is about Sydney, who has kind of been pushed to the side because her older brother has gotten in a lot of problems with the law. In fact, he paralyzed someone, and so he's been in prison. And she's always been a good girl, very respectful of her parents, wanting to not be any trouble since her brother is so much trouble. And she meets this Chatham family who they all have their issues going on, but it's this big, rambunctious, wonderful family. And she falls for the oldest son named Mac. And it's just really cute, really sweet. I always love Sarah Dessen. She's usually a nice, like, laid-back pace. She's a great summer read, but her romances are always so sweet, and I just adore them. So definitely pick her up if you want a more relaxing story. So the next level is going to be safe for work. And we will start off with another YA, but this one is a little bit steamier, but still mostly just so adorable. This one I actually have a review for back in the day. And this one is called Starry Eyes, and I really, really had a fun time with this one. Sorry, it's my new focus, which I love, but it makes it hard to see the book. So Starry Eyes is about Zori and Lennon, and they used to be best friends, and they also maybe kind of were going to be something more. And then homecoming happened, and Zori doesn't know what happened to their friendship or what's going on. When they both get invited on a glamping trip with some popular kids in school, they end up stranded alone together. And all of the issues they were going through and the reason that their friendship turned so violently away comes to light. And it was so good. I really love Jenn Bennett. This is the only book of hers have read, but I've bought all the other ones, and I just need to get around to them. But this was really fun, and it was cool. It was cool. Next, I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which y'all have probably heard about. It gets talked about all the time on Booktube, but I wasn't going to read it because there was just something about it that it didn't seem like it would be a winner for me, but I was wrong. Sorry, I had to change that. The live focus doesn't work when I want to have beautiful books on display, so we just went back to normal Jen. This is about Evelyn Hugo, who, as you can tell, had 7 husbands. She is a bisexual actress. She is half Cuban, and she's trying to make her way in Hollywood, and the love of her life is a woman, but she can't openly be with her. So she goes through a lot of heartbreak and a lot of husbands to be with the love of her life. And it is painful and beautiful and all the things everyone says about it. And it's so good. Next, I would never have a romance recommendation without my favoriteest favorite ever. And that is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. This is my much loved copy. Me and my friend Joe both annotated this one, but this is about Claire Randall, who goes on a second honeymoon with her husband Frank and in Scotland, and gets pulled back 202 years in time to the Scottish Highland during the Jacobite Rebellion. And she is forced into a marriage of safety with Highlander James Fraser, and it goes from there. This is beautiful. This is wonderful. This is definitely safe for work, but also will make your heart flutter deliciously, and it's so good. And Claire is spunky and sassy. She's a kick-ass war nurse who knows how to handle herself, but what do you do when you get thrown back in Scotland and you're just thrown at all the, all these beautiful Scottish men? What is a girl to do? It's so good. So next we reach the blushes category, and this one I have reserved for historical romance, because these, I say you might get the blushes because someone, these ones have the little love flaps in here. But in general, the stories happening aren't anything that is too over the top. And I mean, some people disagree. Again, this list is subjective. Like, I'm going based on what my feelings are about books, and I have a pretty high tolerance for steam, as you're going to see as we climb this list higher and higher. But we'll start off with, I pulled out the Bridgerton prequels, which the last book in this comes out really soon. You can read this series without having read the Bridgertons first. This is also called the Rokesby series because it's about kind of like the Bridgertons' neighbors, but also we have the Bridgertons in some of it. We have Because of Miss Bridgerton, The Girl with the Make-Believe Husband, and The Other Miss Bridgerton. And these are an adorable series about these different like family members finding love, and we get references to all different characters that we like, and our Bridgertons who we love, the children. I found out in the that in the 4th one coming out, we're gonna get to see the kids as babies, and I'm really excited for that. So yeah, so those. Then I have 2 different Tessa Dares. I have the first in 2 different series of hers. The first one is Romancing the Duke. This is the first in the Castles Ever After series, which I am loving. I love the Castles Ever After series. Here's a little love flap in this one. This series is these different women. This eccentric duke, he left all of his different properties to different single women. Because he's eccentric and because he wanted them to have something that was theirs. And so in this one, we meet Isolde, who goes by Izzy, and her father has died, and she's been relying on the generosity of his fans because her father wrote romance novels, or not romance novels, adventure novels. Sorry, Freudian slip. But he left her with basically nothing. And when she gets left this castle, she thinks this is the answer that's going to help her. Well, she shows up at the castle, and it still has someone living in it. And he wasn't told that his castle was sold out from under him by his relatives and his evil solicitor. And so he doesn't want Izzy living in his castle. And Izzy's like, I literally have the deed. This castle belongs to me. Well, how about we just share it? It's great. It's adorable. It's so much fun. I love these two. They're amazing. Then the other one, Are You Even Surprised?, is the Duchess deal, the first in the Girl Meets Duke series, which includes the Governess Game and the Wallflower Wager, and soon the Bride Bet. And I cannot wait for them. This one is about the Duke of Ashbury and Emma, and she had been making a dress for his fiance, who then dumped him because he got scarred pretty badly in the war. But Emma doesn't care. But he needs an heir, and so he says, I'll marry you, and if you'll have a baby for me, I will give you a beautiful house, and you'll never have to see me again. And Emma doesn't really care what he looks like, and decides, oh, I'll marry you, but I'm gonna love you. That's enough for me. I love Tessa Dare. She's amazing, but this one is definitely a little bit steamier on the side of the blushes, so just warning ya. Just warning ya. Should we stack all these up here? What? I'm so cool. I'm so cool. All right, let's move up to Don't Tell Your Mom. So what I'll say about this level is that I don't even know how to say it, because it really depends. I picked these ones because these ones are all a little more fun. So that's why I say that they're a higher level of steam than any of these, but also they're a lot of fun. So they're not quite as serious as the not safe for work category, which we will get to soon. So let's go. The first one I just read, and this one is adorable and will maybe make you cry, but is also pretty steamy, and that is Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. This is the companion novel to Fix Her Up, and this series is called the Hot and Hammered series, which is just fun. This is about Rosie and Dominic Vega, and they have been together for since they were kids, and they were in love. And Dominic was a Marine and has done a couple of deployments, and he came back just a little bit different, as some men would. It is a tough job to do, and they just haven't been communicating well, and really the only thing they have anymore is their Tuesday night sex date. And Rosie decides that's not enough for her anymore, so she's going to leave him, even though she loves him. And Dominic doesn't understand. He thought everything was doing well. He's being a good provider. He's doing everything he can. And he decides he's not going to give up. So Rosie wants to pick the most difficult path that she can for him. So he will just give it up and let her leave him and go on with her dreams of being a chef and owning her own restaurant. So she picks this crazy therapist for them that they agree to see for a month. And see if there's any hope for their relationship. They're not saying they're only giving it a month, but the first month is supposed to be an indication if it's going to work out or not. And this guy has them communing with nature and looking into each other's eyes and doing all these crazy things. And they just, are they going to decide that they're worth fighting for? And spoiler alert, they do. Because it's a rom-com and it's going to work out. But this was good. This made me cry. It was so beautiful, and I love seeing two people who love each other so much decide that they're going to fight. They just don't know how, and I really, really loved it. It was so good. Next, I have Right by Jana Aston, which I've talked about a lot. I really say this about all of Jana Aston's books. She's so much fun. This is an age gap, which this whole series is. The Right and Wrong series is. There is Wrong is another one, and then there is, what's it called? I can't find it. Anyway, this is about Everly and Sawyer, and Everly has been in love with Sawyer's younger brother for the last 10 years maybe, and she recently has upped her stalking to kind of a ridiculous level, and Sawyer is just like, honey, 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 you're chasing after the wrong man. I'm the one for you. And so Sawyer goes about proving that he is the one for her. And it's adorable. This is a really quick read. It's very sexy, Very great and funny. It's so funny. Everly is ridiculous. She's so great. I love it so much. You should check this out. Another author I think you should check out, I don't have her in front of me, but the Nordic Royal series by Karina Halle. This is also a really funny series. This involves, there's an age gap, there's a marriage of convenience, there is a boss and nanny, like one. These are all Nordic royals. So there's like a king of Sweden and a king of this and that and whatever, and princesses and all these things, and it's such a fun series. I just gobbled them up. There's the Wild Heir, the Nordic King, something else. They're really great. You should read those as well. Those I would consider like, oh, so funny. They're so funny. And then the last one in the Don't Tell Your Mom category is Something That Could Last by Ashley Cade. This is about, let me just double check the names. I think it's Jacob and Abby. This I originally read as an arc. It has a cliffhanger, just so you know, and Ashley Cade still hasn't said when the second one's coming out. I'm dying for it. But this is kind of supposed to be like a fling romance between these two. Jacob and his friend are going on like this road trip vacation before really digging into their college. So this is a new adult. And Jacob meets Abby, and Abby is, her and her best friend are just working in this town. She's trying to earn enough money to go to the college she wants to go. She lives with her grandmother. She's part Native American. And they have to decide if this is just a summer fling or if it's something that could last. And this is really sweet. The tension builds in this one so beautifully. There's a couple trigger warnings. There's one for sexual assault in this one, and yeah, but it's really, really good. The steam level is moderate, but it's just very good. It's good. All right, we're here. We are at the not safe for work. Hide your children, hide anyone you don't want to know, because we're going to talk about full on. These are erotic. This is going to get your blood pressure up. You're going to need some ice packs. You're going to need a cigarette when it's over. Level books, okay? Okay, I warned you. Here we go. The first one I have here, I've talked about so much, and that is Dark Notes by Pam Goodwin. This is an age gap. This is a taboo age gap. The relationship is between a student and her music teacher. She starts this as 17. Her name is Ivory. She has lived a horrible life. There are so many trigger warnings in this book. There's assault, there's emotional abuse, there is parental abuse, there is just so much. However, this book touched me so much. I cried. There's also animal abuse as a trigger warning. Wow. Wasn't prepared for that when I was reading it. It hurt worse than like anything else, so be prepared. But Ivory has been used since she was 13. Sexually, for her talents, for her whatever, and she is really beautiful, and the boys at school use her and abuse her, and she's been doing that for money, and she doesn't even realize what she's been doing. And then we meet Emery, who is her teacher, and he has a bit of chip on his shoulder. He was accused of some crimes at the school that he previously worked at by his ex-girlfriend, who kind of ruined his career. But he gets hired at this school because of his mother. His mother is the dean at a really famous music college that all of the parents at this school want their kids to get into. And he just has like no time for the kids at all. But he's just so bitter and angry about how things went. And he sees Ivory, and he is attracted to her right away, and he's going to ignore it because it's a student. But the more he learns about her and the situation she's in, he just can't walk away. And he progresses things a little further than he should. This also is a BDSM novel, but I'm telling you, I don't really enjoy BDSM in my erotic novels. I'm okay with it when it is like, I don't know, it's weird. Like when it's like, I want you to hold me down or like tie my wrist, but I don't really enjoy the whole like dom sub. Like I don't really like that. I'd rather just have like an alpha male who gets a little, into it or something. However, I have never seen it done in a way where I felt that the character actually needed it. Like, needed someone to show them that she has the power in a relationship, that her safe word means something. You don't know how many I've read where we have a safe word and no one ever uses it because they're so into every single thing that happens that they never use it. And I've read a few books recently where someone actually used it. I found those so powerful because it's not just about a man dominating you and getting pleasure out of it. It's about the other person too. And for Ivory, she needed this kind of relationship to free her. And it's really beautiful. I don't know how to say it. I read this book like 3 times. I love it so much. I love Ivory and Emery. But it's all those things I said. It's taboo. There's a ton of trigger warnings. And it might not be for you. Like, I understand. But I really love it. So, I actually feel that way about all 3 of these. That's why they're not safe for work. And the next one is Priest by Sierra Simone. Wow, this one is so taboo, I don't even know where to go with it. But it's so good. This book is told completely from the male's point of view. Our priest, his name, he's so wonderful. I love him so much. His name is Tyler, and Tyler meets Poppy. And Poppy is putting her life back together slowly. Her ex-boyfriend was really kind of emotionally abusive, and she liked it, and she's trying to understand why she wanted to be treated that way. And she goes into this church and she is confessing her sins to Tyler in kind of graphic detail, and he gets really turned on by it and feels horrible about himself. But then they end up having an illicit relationship together, and the reasons for Tyler being in the priesthood were kind of for the wrong reasons. And so really this entire book is not about them having to keep it a secret or Tyler losing everything if he admits he loves a woman. It is Tyler is doing penance for a crime he feels like he did. And I say that because it is not a crime at all what happened to him and what he did. Not at all, but he sees it as one. And he sees himself as having given up sex and a normal life to be a priest as his penance for what happened. And so it's him having to come to the realization that he didn't have to do that. Like, God wasn't asking him to do that. So this is just, there's a lot of heavy emotions in this. And I don't know how else to say it. I'm not Catholic, but I am a Christian, and I know that sounds weird saying that after all the books we're talking about, but I just mean that, like, I do have a reverence for God, and if you do as well, maybe you won't want to read this, but maybe you will, because there's some amazing things that Tyler learns about himself and his relationship with God that I feel are very valid, even though it's all mixed up in this really erotic novel that's super taboo. And I don't know how Sierra Simone does that, but she does. And Tyler, wow. Tyler's amazing. And then finally, my last recommendation is Credence, which I just read. I have a full review for this up. You can go ahead and check it out. This is Penelope Douglas's newest release that she kind of surprised us with out of nowhere. I only found out it was coming out a week before it did. This is about a girl named Tiernan who her parents do a murder-suicide to each other. In a loving sense, her father was dying of cancer and her mother didn't want to be without him, but didn't care that she was leaving her daughter alone. Well, it turns out she has a step-uncle who lives in Colorado with his 2 sons, Caleb and Noah. Her uncle's name is Jake. And she moves there, and all 3 of them have interest in her. And this is probably Penelope Douglas's, like, smuttiest book. But it was really good. And this one also had some emotional things to tell you. But yeah, this one also has some taboo things going on. But it also has mountain men and being snowed in for the winter with 3 sexy men. And I wouldn't completely call this a reverse harem, because that's not how it plays out to me, if I say that, right? So anyway, there you go. I hope this video was useful to you, that you maybe found a book that's in a category you're interested in. If you really like this, let me know. I can make more of these. I obviously have hundreds of romances that I've read that I could put into categories. I just, when I was breaking it down, just tried to pick a few, of course. So let me know what you think about my list. Let me know if you agree, disagree, if you have any suggestions for me based on the books I said I like, because I will take suggestions anytime. And yeah, I put up 4 to 5 videos a week. If you like this kind of content, I try to do a lot of historical romance and romance, as well as I read everything, but the specialized content I do is really within romance and historical romance specifically. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch some more of my videos, you can do that right now. Thanks. Bye.